Right. So we're ready. So I'm going to cue Mark, and we're going to switch it to Mark Live. All right, here we go. Mark and Pop.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to this week's Small Business Workshop and appreciate you joining me. Yes, you see, I'm in a different location this week. I'm at the home of Comcast, one of our sponsors, and I'm literally here on set. We're going to be doing this morning. My name is Mark S. Lee. I'm the founder, president, and CEO of the Lee Group, a integrated marketing communications organization based here in Metro Detroit. I'm also a radio host, and I'm a media contributor here in the Motor City, as well as across the country as well. All that I do is focus on small business revitalization, development, and its efforts focus on Detroit's future. And again, thank you for joining me for the 8th annual Small Business Workshop. And this is our third one that is in fact virtual. And I'm pleased that you're able to join us this morning. This is going to be worthwhile. You do not want to miss this conversation. And I'd like to thank our presenting sponsor, Fifth Third Bank. They've been with us from the beginning, and we appreciate all that they do in Detroit, across Metro Detroit, across the state of Michigan as well. And a program like this would not be made possible without the support of our sponsors and our partners. Therefore, please let me take a moment to highlight our sponsors. Again, Fifth Third Bank is our presenting sponsor, Detroit Development Fund, Comcast Business, you see this beautiful set where I'm sitting this morning, Build Institute in partnership with Empowered by GoDaddy, First Independence Bank, Live6 Alliance, Michigan Women Forward, State Farm agent Cindy Fletcher, Tanner Friedman, Detroit Public Television, WTVS, the Detroit Free Press as well. And without these sponsors and partners, today's event certainly would not be possible. And because of them, this event, this entire series, think about this, is free. At this point, I'd like to introduce Mr. David Girdot. He's the regional president of Fifth Third Bank, Eastern Michigan, to provide a few remarks. Dave?
Good morning, Mark. Can you hear me at least? I'm hoping.
Yes, we can hear you, Dave.
Great, thank you. So sorry about that. I was hoping video would work as well. I do want to say welcome to everyone for joining the 8th annual Small Business Workshop. And we certainly always thank Mark and congratulate him for the ongoing success of this program. And it's great to see him back in the studio. It's nice to see things that look normal, as Mark and I could attest, as we actually had a chance to have lunch last week, which was fun. But I want to really thank the participants to date who have participated in this series. You know, small business is just such an important part of our community and our economy, and we can't drive a successful lifestyle for many of us without small businesses continue to be prosperous and growing in the communities that we work and serve. So I want to thank all of you for joining. I'm sure the panelists today are going to be very educational. You've got a great lineup of women-owned businesses, which is another key element of how we grow our communities. I know Pamela, Geneva, Alondra, Alexis, and Nicole will be sharing some of their expertise and wisdom with all of you. And I think in the interesting times we are right now, it's going to be a great discussion. We've come out of a COVID of the last 2 years, which we've all learned a lot, and we've learned to pivot and run our businesses differently. And now we're going to deal with some other headwinds as we look at the economy that we're facing. And it's a great time to share experiences and strategies and have people to talk to about how do we be successful together in the future. So Fifth Third really thanks everyone. This is something we're very committed to. Small business is a passion and a key part of how we do business every day. Our relationship with Mark has been ongoing, and I thank him for his leadership and what he does in the community. And with that, I want to tell all of you, have a great session and day. I think you'll find it very beneficial to everyone involved. So thank you for allowing us to be a sponsor, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. And I want you to know we really do appreciate Fifth Third's support. They have been with us from day one. And without their support, this certainly would not be here today. They've grown with us. Today's topic, Your Small Business Toolkit, will discuss government resources and how they can help businesses recover, along with how the pandemic has affected women entrepreneurs. We have a great fireside chat a little bit later that we're going to talk about those issues. We want those not here today to learn from this experience. So therefore, we're going to ask you to rely on social media. You can tag me at Lee Group on Twitter, and I promise I will retweet you. You can also use the hashtag Small Business Workshop, hashtag Small Business Workshop. We want as many people certainly to participate. I'm pleased to say that we had to cap today's registration as well. Additionally, this event is in fact being recorded and will be posted later today or tomorrow morning on Detroit Public Television, DPTV. All right, we're going to move on, and I would like to, at this opportunity, to introduce Ms. Pamela Dover. And Pamela Dover is the Senior Director for Business Development and Marketing for Comcast Business, who will provide a brief message on the Comcast Rise program, which will be preceded by a short video.
Thank you, Mark, and good morning. And I tell you, that set looks good on you. So welcome to the Comcast studio. I am elated to share this morning. I have great news regarding our Comcast Rise program. And your viewers may be wondering, well, what's Comcast Rise? So just wanted to provide a quick overview. The Comcast Rise is a multifaceted program offering grants and marketing services and technology upgrades to businesses business people of color and women-owned businesses. Comcast Rise is part of our $100 million commitment made in 2020 by our chairman and CEO, Brian Roberts, to fight injustice and inequality, to strengthen and empower people of color and women-owned small businesses that were hit hard by COVID. So RISE actually stands for representation, investment, strength, empowerment, with the goal of assisting these businesses to survive, thrive, and grow. The core program was created in 2020 and continues to run strong and has awarded over 530 businesses in Michigan. There is an application process, and winners are awarded quarterly prizes, tech makeovers, which includes computer monitors and laptops, internet voice, cybersecurity. These services are free for 12 months. And businesses can apply also for our media services, which includes marketing consultation and media placement of a 90-day schedule. That schedule runs over our networks like HGTV, CNN, Fox, Bravo, and more. Plus, they get a 30-second professionally produced commercial, and that's a great value. So all this value really helps businesses rise. So all they have to do is apply at ComcastRise.com. But what I really wanted to share this morning, because it gets even better, for the second consecutive year, Comcast will award $10,000 to 100 businesses in Detroit, Hamtramck, and Highland Park, to those women-owned businesses and businesses of color that, again, were hit hard by the pandemic. So this part of RISE is called the Investment Fund, and it is a monetary grant. And really excited to share this information because, again, for 2022, Detroit was selected to get this $1 million, and we want your viewers and your listeners to apply for this monetary grant, which will be open June 1st through the 14th. And if the business qualifies, all they have to do is, again, visit ComcastRise.com. It opens June 1st through the 14th. But if your business is not in Highland Park, Detroit, or Hamtramck, We still have the regular core program, which is the Rise program, which is for all businesses of people of color or women-owned businesses to get those marketing services, the media services that I mentioned earlier. So again, all you have to do is go on ComcastRise.com. So don't delay, sign up today and rise tomorrow. So please, let's watch video.
I would say because of COVID, it just kind of halted everything. But it doesn't mean that I'm giving up.
To the architects of ambition, from the cornerstones to the corner stores, to the champions of community. You supply in these days of demand. And because you persist, you'll always prevail. Keep rising, keep rising, keep rising. Apply today for business, marketing, and tech makeovers on us.
Thank you, Pamela. And I got to tell you, Comcast has been a wonderful partner. Comcast Business has been a wonderful partner as well. And the leadership of Pamela Dover and her team, we really do appreciate that. And again, I want to make sure we are using their set this morning. So where you see me sitting, I'm sitting at the Comcast, in the home of Comcast audio and visual equipment, video equipment. So thank you very much, Pamela and the team. We really do appreciate that. And now joining me in the studio for a fireside chat is Dr. Geneva Williams, and she's the Executive Director of Live6 Alliance. And we're going to talk about the upsurge in women business owners and women businesses, the unique challenges for female entrepreneurs, and offer you practical solutions. And she's the CEO of Dr. Geneva Speaks and is the creator of Vibrant Life Blueprint, which helps entrepreneurs and executives achieve extraordinary success and happiness. After a 40-plus year career as the award-winning nonprofit leader, raising millions for businesses and community causes, Dr. Geneva reinvented herself and is continuing to do phenomenal things here in Detroit. So we're going to spend a few moments together and just talking about the importance of women entrepreneurs, and also talk about where do we go from here as well. Dr. Geneva, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here in the Comcast studio. It's fantastic.
Yes.
Yes.
And we came up with a title. Give me the title of this. I want you to share the title.
You Go Girl, dealing with the pandemic for female entrepreneurs beyond the pandemic.
Absolutely. You go, girl. And, I was kidding with Dr. Geneva once when I first heard that. I thought of the TV show Martin. Remember that?
Right. Yes, that's right.
All right, let's jump right into the conversation for this fireside chat. So the U.S. Census Bureau reports a 21% increase in women-owned businesses compared with the rise in all businesses by only 9% back in 2019. But during the pandemic, many who started businesses were women. And so let's talk about that. What's causing this growth, and how are women changing the entrepreneurial landscape as we continue to go through this pandemic and beyond?
Well, Mark, women clearly are fueling what's happening in the world of entrepreneurship and the economy. 42% of all businesses are started by women, representing that's 13 million businesses started and employing over 9 million people, and that's about $1.9 trillion in terms of revenue. So, and small business trends tell us that women owners are up 27% from last year. So it's really about women who are fueling this upsurge in the entrepreneurial landscape. And of that growth, women of color, particularly Black women, are the ones who are really growing at rates 4.5 times more than other groups. And so it's, it's just a phenomenon that is happening. But why? Well, one of the reasons is it's been during pandemic, certainly practical. Yeah. A lot of these businesses are home-based business, so it's been practical and easy to start something in your home. A lot of women are looking for another source of income or fulfilling a dream like I did late in life. And there are also opportunities now, more resources for women to get started. It's flexible, women want independence. And frankly, Mark, another reason is because of the workplace pressures that are going on, and that they're, women are kind of tired because there really isn't this leadership pipeline like there should be. They talk about, cracking that glass ceiling,
Absolutely.
but for many women, particularly women of color, it's really a ceiling of concrete. And so, rather than go through all that, women are striking out on their own and being independent.
It's another way of breaking your own glass.
That's right. That's right.
As we proceed, I've written about this in Crane's Detroit Business several times. I can tell you that Wayne County is the second largest county for women businesses in the entire country. The state of Michigan is the 9th largest when it comes to women businesses in the country. And so I want to point that out to you for those of you tuning in and listening. We are a powerhouse. This is a center of entrepreneurship for women business owners. But yeah, let's talk about, as they continue to grow and start businesses, women business owners also have struggles.
Yes.
They have challenges, particularly during this pandemic. Are these challenges different than what men are experiencing right now in business, particularly those who've been around a little bit longer? So talk about some of those unique challenges faced by women, how they compare to men businesses as well.
Well, there's going to be one thing that's going to be on everybody's list of challenge, male, female, regardless of gender, and that is lack of funding, that access to or limited funding. And women businesses tend to be, they tend to run smaller businesses. Often they're self-employed, they're solo entrepreneurs. And so this lack of funding, limited access, women still get loans at a far less rate than men, that access to venture capital. So that has got to be on the list. But there are other things as well. Many of the businesses that women run are tended to be concentrated in lower paying industries or industries that were really hit hard by the pandemic, like daycare, home health care, nail salons, beauty shops. And so during the pandemic, those industries were kind of hit really hard. And so and then sometimes women also have a lack of a support system because there aren't a whole lot of female role models. But Mark, there are two unique challenges that we really don't talk a lot about that I want to put on the table that I think from women. And one is this, what I call the confidence gap, or lack of confidence, fear of failure, that we as women too often fall into that. We feel that we can't do it, or, self-doubt, or, we've got to wait until we're perfect and everything is, A1 before we start it. And that is a barrier and a challenge for us that we need to get over. But the other challenge is that women face a higher rate of burnout. And that's because we balance so many balls. So, a woman who might start a job or got a side hustle still got to maintain a family or raise children or maybe take care of an elderly parent. So that causes us to have higher levels of burnout and stress. And so those kinds of things are what are uniquely challenging to women, and we want to put them out there, but there are ways that women are overcoming those challenges, Mark.
And I want to also say, if you have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A, and Tamika and her team will certainly monitor. If you have any questions as part of this Fireside Chat, we'll try to get to those as well. So please drop them in the Q&A or in the chat room, and Tamika and her team will certainly review those. As we talk about women business owners, females, what advice would you give to those who are really, quite frankly, let's just cut to the chase. A lot of businesses are struggling right now, and they're not exactly sure where to turn to and what to do. So what advice would you give to those individuals who are kind of struggling, need to figure out how to overcome these challenges? What do you tell her?
Well, one of the things, I think one of the very first things is be clear about your goals, both your business and personal goals, and understand what your risk tolerance is. Also make sure that you're clear on your strategy. Do you have the right strategy, the potential for growth? So you want to be, real clear on that. And then are you able to execute the strategy that you put out there? Do you have the infrastructure, and what is going to be your role in that? So that's one piece that I think is very important. Another thing that I think female entrepreneurs need to do is to develop a council of advisors, sort of like your personal board of directors, people who will give you the right advice, care about you, going to tell you like it is, are an expert in what you're doing. You want some cheerleaders on your council, that are going to give you that support. But you want to, have folk who are going to tell you like it is and really give you that kind of counsel. Get ongoing training and education. We should always know how to evaluate funding and where to go. We should know that, and it should be something that we become masters of so that we know that information. Another piece of advice is don't let imposter syndrome get in your way. That feeling, those feelings of anxiety or self-doubt, you got to beat that and just go do it and get out there and do what you can. Believe in yourself. Join networks, build connections. That's so important, having those connections. And then, Mark, I would say to female entrepreneurs in particular, to overcome those challenges, to jump out there, and that is to be well. Manage your stress, take care of yourself, because you are your business.
Absolutely. I love what you're saying about the power of the network.
Yes.
I love the fact that you're talking about advisors. I get asked that question a lot. I'm not an expert in everything. I have wonderful group of advisors. I can just pick up the phone and call. And so they make me look smarter.
That's right. That's right.
But I also hear you saying, get that balance in your life through the wellness program, the self-care. We're going through challenging times right now. We heard about the news recently over the last couple of weeks, and certainly a challenging there. But that wellness component clearly is important to take care of yourself. So let's kind of segue, if we could, then, because now you're also the executive director of Live6. We have people watching from across the country. Explain to them exactly what the Live6 Alliance is and how they're supporting entrepreneurs over the Livernois area in that part of the city of Detroit. How's your organization supporting small businesses going through the pandemic as well?
Well, Live6 is a nonprofit community development organization focused on working with a whole lot of stakeholders to revitalize the Livernois-McNichols corridor in Northwest Detroit and the neighborhoods that surround it. And in doing that, we work very, very closely with small businesses and talking with them, and also reading the research, Mark. We do see it's with all the roadblocks we have, and who knows what's going to happen in the future, but there is a cause for optimism. There are a lot of resources out there and a lot of businesses wanting to start their business. And one of the things that we're going to do to help that is to build an entrepreneurial center. It'll be a pop-up center for entrepreneurs who want a brick and mortar place to sell their stuff, and an added feature to selling their products and services will be that we're going to wrap around those services that we know businesses need, like financial literacy, how to build a network, how to do a podcast, how to come on with Comcast and talk with people like you about products and services, how business education, etc. So we're going to be providing that in this entrepreneurial space right in the community where, it's really going to make a difference for entrepreneurs.
And as we talk about Live6 Alliance, for those tuning in, how many small businesses are in that particular area? And also, what percentage of those small businesses, if you know, are women entrepreneurs?
Yeah, well, on the Livernois and McNichols corridor, there are a little over 230 businesses. Yeah, a lot of them are health related, laundry, personal services, retail, And in the surrounding community that Live6 serves, there's another 3,000 businesses. Yes, it's a lot going on there. A lot of them are home-based businesses, which is why we're developing this pop-up. And along the corridors, we know that about half are, in fact, female entrepreneurs. And so we know that there certainly is the demand and supply out there for, so we can provide services, and then the businesses who want services in the area.
Let me talk about the power of the entrepreneur. I'm looking at you now in the audience. They account for 60 to 70% of new businesses generated in this country. A lot of times we think that big businesses, and we love our big business. I worked in corporate for a long time, trust me. We love our big businesses. But the entrepreneurial ecosystem is the economic generator. It's the backbone of this economy that we live in. So if you listen to what Dr. Geneva is saying, you're talking about 3,000 businesses and in that overall, that part of Detroit. Imagine how many people are employed by those small businesses. That's why we're having this conversation. We also hear that women businesses, as you referenced, are growing significantly.
Yes.
And as you look specifically at that Live6 area, Livernois McNichols area, what are the women business owners yearning for specifically as they're looking to recover? I know we said access to capital. Are there other things that are rising to the top over in that particular part of Detroit?
Yeah, businesses tell us that two things in particular. Of course, after we do know that access to capital is on the list.
Always.
Okay. But they tell us help in marketing and in technology. So in other words, how to put your business out there, how to sell it, how to promote it, how do you do that? And that's going to be one of the services and things we teach entrepreneurs in our new business center. And the other is the technology part. We know that you've got to have a digital presence these days in order to make it in business. So, how do you set up an e-commerce site? Many businesses pivoted to online services and products, but there is a need for, advancing that and accelerating that. So those are two areas in particular that we hear an awful lot about.
This business center, when any projections from a timeline standpoint, where that might be, the pop-up might be ready will be open?
Yes, we're right around the corner in 2022. We're in partnership with Invest Detroit and the Michigan Women's Forward, which is also a sponsor of this conference. And I was just there yesterday, Mark, looking at the facility. It is going to be phenomenal. Right there at 7434 West McNichols, which is right at the corner of San Juan and McNichols, right across from the Michigan Barber College, and right next door to home base, which is the Live6 headquarters. And we're, it's looking good. We expect the build out will be ready in a month or so. And then we'll be starting to recruit vendors and entrepreneurs who want to come in, who want to pop up, but also come and take advantage of these special services that we're going to have. Because our goal, Mark, is not to provide a space where, folk come and sell things and be there forever. We want businesses to grow. And so then we say to ourselves, well, how do we help businesses to grow? And that is to provide services that help them do that. So we're going to be providing a myriad of services that will be phenomenal for the businesses that were in there and around the area.
One of the things I love about what you're doing over the Alliance, the Live6 Alliance, is you also have collaboration, you have partners. And a major partner was the University of Detroit.
Yes.
For traditional Detroiters like me, it's the University of Detroit. Now we also know it now is known as University of Detroit Mercy.
That's
UDM.
right.
So talk about that relationship and the importance to the organization.
Well, where we are in our Livernois McNichols area, the university sits there as an anchor institution. And one of the things that Dr. Garibaldi, Antoine Garibaldi, who's the president, said was basically, well, we're not going to just sit here and not be involved in this revitalization movement.
Yeah.
So he and Rip Rapson from the Kresge Foundation joined forces and said, let's create this alliance, this nonprofit organization that could work with others to spurn the development, to be there, to be a listener, to work with residents and provide services, and just be a partner with so many other groups and business development and make something happen in the area, the spark, the catalyst. And so that's what they created. And, you know, if you haven't been over, you know, if any of your audience hasn't been over in that area, you need to go by there. You need to drive up and down Livernois. You've probably driven up and down Livernois, but when you go up and down McNichols now, with U of D at one side and the Marygrove Conservancy at the other, so much has happened. It has really changed.
I'm proud to say that my daughter is a graduate, has her master's degree from the University of Detroit, Mercy, and she's a PA.
Wonderful.
She got her PA from their great
Yes.
institution, and you're right.
Yes.
Great going up and down Livernois. In closing, what words of advice would you give or leave for women business owners who are thinking about starting a business? Everybody has that idea. Even when I walked in this morning, somebody says, hey, Mark, how do I start a business? Give that advice to those looking to start a business. What do you tell them?
Well, I give a lot of great advice about businesses that we learned from a lot of different businesses, talking to hundreds of businesses in this area and across the country. But the single thing that I would say is invest in yourself. You know, we balance so many balls as female entrepreneurs. We are, you know, we burn our candle at both ends, really. And that's not really unusual for someone in business, but for female women who are in business, they don't usually give up other things. So they run their business and they still got their family and take care of kids. They've got a lot of things going on. So often we'll focus on everything else but ourselves. And so I think the most important thing for female entrepreneurs is to figure out ways to invest in yourself. Invest in your physical, your emotional, your social well-being, so that you're the best that you can be, because you are your product, you are your service. And that investment now will make a big difference in the future. And so it's a good investment, it's the right thing to do. So you go, girl.
And before we let you go, girl, what is the website for Live6?
Live6Detroit.org. And that's LIVE, the number 6, Detroit.org.
And before I let you go, Tamika, do we have any questions? Just defer to you for 1 second.
The only question that came up, and I think I addressed it in the chat, was someone wanted you to repeat the percentages of businesses in the county that are open. Did you give a statistic on that?
Yeah, what I said was, just point of clarification. In the county, the Wayne County, women businesses, Wayne County is the second largest county in the country, according to the US, the 2012 US Census data. Wayne County is the second largest county in the country when it comes to women business owners. In the state of Michigan, it's the 9th largest when it comes to women businesses. So my point was, we are an economic generator. Women businesses are driving this economy. Now remember, that was from 10 years ago. That was the most recent data available. So the point though is that that's why this conversation is powerful. And we're having Dr. Geneva here because women businesses are growing, they're economic generators, and they're making a difference in our community. Any other questions?
No, that was all.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Geneva Williams, you are the absolute best. I appreciate all that you're doing.
Thank you. And I hope your audience knows that if anyone, you know, needs some further help or advice or, you know, strategies, what to do next, please contact us. Yes.
Dr. Geneva, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, what we're going to do is we're going to segue into a panel discussion. We've assembled a great panel for this morning's discussion. The question being addressed this morning is how government resources can help business recovery and how the pandemic has affected women entrepreneurs. So let me just take a couple of moments to introduce our panelists. Alondra Alvizo, Senior Program Manager for Detroit Means Business, Detroit Economic Growth Corporation, and she's a lifelong Detroiter, and she takes pride in being a part of the small business support efforts in our city. Alondra obtained her bachelor's degree in agribusiness management from Michigan State University and currently is pursuing her master's of urban planning at Wayne State University. And as the Senior Program Manager for Detroit Means Business, she is responsible for supporting small business development for Detroit and beyond, and is really doing some great things over there with the organization. Our next panelist is Ms. Alexis Dishman from Michigan Women Forward. You heard Dr. Geneva reference Michigan Women Forward earlier, and drawing on 20 years of both corporate and nonprofit experience, Ms. Dishman is the Chief Lending Officer at Michigan Women Forward. And she's responsible for managing all aspects of the lending function, including business development, expanding the technical assistance programs for borrowers, management of the lending team, and managing organizational risk. And last and certainly but not least, I'm so pleased to welcome Ms. Nicole Lewis, who is the president of NAWBO Greater Detroit Chapter, National Association of Women Business Owners, the Greater Detroit Chapter. I've had a long-standing relationship with them as well. And Nicole is an award-winning marketing and sales executive and founder of Nicole Lewis and Associates, a business strategy and development consultancy. And she's a passionate communicator, result-oriented strategist. She helps her clients capitalize on innovative and unrealized growth opportunities and expand their profitability opportunities. I'd like to welcome the panel, and let's start the conversation. So we've heard Dr. Geneva in our previous conversation talk about access to capital. Access to capital is always a top issue for entrepreneurs based on various surveys. So what I'd like for you to do is to take 2 minutes, if you could, and for the three of you, take 2 minutes and talk about that issue of access to capital. Now, also in part of your response to your question, give us a very brief overview of your organization. So let's start off with a brief overview of the organization, and then let's address the question as it relates to access to capital. Let's start with, if we can start with Alondra, that would be great.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Really happy to be here sharing the stage with such talented women doing the work to support small businesses as a whole. So the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation is where the Detroit Means Business program is housed under. And the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation is an economic development engine for the city of Detroit, supporting many small business and other development style products. Detroit Means Business overall is the front door to the small business ecosystem. It is a program and a project and a coalition of over 60 partners in the small business support ecosystem, including nonprofits, for-profit, and government agencies as well. So we are advised, our work is primarily advised by an advisory committee consisting of these partnership organizations, as well as a small business owner advocacy group. So we have 11 small business owners in the city of Detroit who also advise our work and our programs and keep us informed on what the needs on the ground are. And access to capital is a huge barrier for small businesses, specifically in the type of financial products that exist, the technical assistance that is available, and many different processes for how to engage capital. We always talk about access to capital, and the accessibility part of access to capital is what makes it a bit challenging. So I know that was a lot in a little time, but I think I nailed it, right?
Oh yeah, you nailed it. And before I forget, Alondra, I gotta say on a personal note, not many people know this. Someone asked me about this the other day. My father, many of you know him, was a legendary banker here in Detroit, actually helped to start the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation along with Mayor Coleman Young back in the early 70s. So my father was a banker, and Mayor Young personally asked for my father to help start this organization that was gonna be focused on economic development. So not many people know that. And that's a wonderful organization. Alexis Dishman, let me come over to you and tell us briefly about your organization and the access to capital question.
Sure. So good morning. I had the pleasure of knowing your father. So it is great to hear even more about, it's great to hear even more about him more than what I had known or heard of previously. So thanks for sharing that fact. In terms of Michigan Women Forward is a community development financial institution, and we are focused on providing access to capital and technical assistance programs to entrepreneurs. We target women, and specifically we target entrepreneurs of color and women of color. In addition to that, we celebrate women. So we want to make sure in the state of Michigan that everyone understands and knows the power behind women in the ecosystem. So we celebrate them through our Women of Achievement and Courage Awards in Southeast Michigan, Kalamazoo, and Grand Rapids. We also celebrate women through our Hall of Fame event. We induct women into the Hall of Fame, and then we know how important the next generation is. So we have our girls programs where we are uplifting young women such that they can be strong and vital components to the Michigan economy. In terms of access to capital is certainly something that has been an issue in across the small business sector. I would say in the micro enterprise sector, and I think that's what Dr. Geneva talked a lot about in terms of the opportunities here for women, the opportunities in the state of Michigan, it continues to be an enormous burden. There's a couple of reasons why. I think entrepreneurs, at times don't necessarily have the information, right? So the information is not readily available to understand what is available to them. And then also lack of resources. We are doing all that we can in the city of Detroit to provide more resources around technical assistance programs that support entrepreneurs, but there's still a bit of a gap in terms of resources. And those resources help entrepreneurs to prepare themselves for accessing capital and understanding their capital needs. One other thing that I'd like to bring to light is in entrepreneurs not necessarily having the information about the different tools that are available. There is also a lack of understanding which type of capital most aligns with where you are in your business cycle. So if you were in the startup phase of your business cycle, perhaps traditional financing, traditional banking is not the best resource for you. I think we're going to get into that a little bit more in terms of the type of resources that are available, but that sometimes causes entrepreneurs maybe to not be as confident in going to other resources or understanding the tools that are available. And then a lot of times, financial institutions or those that are funding make decisions based on revenue size. So, in women entrepreneurs in particular, oftentimes we go into businesses that don't have as large of a revenue, and we may be starting out. And that capital decision is made based on the amount of revenue you have at times. So sometimes that will create a barrier in your ability to access all the resources you need for your business.
Outstanding. And Nicole, let me come over to you and ask you briefly, tell us a little bit about your organization, NAWBO, and what are your members, from your perspective, what are they saying are the most significant challenges as they look ahead? And are they optimistic, pessimistic, or kind of neutral at this point?
Okay, well, thank you for having me, Mark. And ladies, it's great to be on the panel with you. So NABO stands for the National Association of Women Business Owners. Greater Detroit chapter is one of over 60 chapters nationwide. And we like to say that we represent the interest of the 14 million women business owners in this country. We are an organization whose mission is really to propel women business owners to the highest heights, both from an economic standpoint, wealth generation, from a political standpoint. We're a major advocacy organization, as well as socially. So our mission and vision is beyond just business development. It's about growing that female CEO of this women business organization. So when you think about Greater Detroit is one of the largest chapters with over 140 members here. And so our members kind of span the Metro Detroit area, Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, and even Washtenaw County. So that's who NABO is in a nutshell here in the area. When you talk about, I'm sorry.
Oh, go right ahead, please.
Okay, when you talk about how our members feel and what our challenges are, so a couple things come to mind. I'm going to say optimistic. We're optimistic, and I think part of that optimism, and I'm going to say cautiously optimistic, and I think part of that comes from one of the things that NAWBO is really known for nationwide, and particularly in the area, is the sisterhood. We call each other sisters. It is part of our DNA as an organization nationally. So, you know, Dr. Geneva talked about the board of directors and the advisors and the cheerleaders. We make sure that we're doing that for each other. And so a lot of that was going on kind of behind the scenes during the pandemic, which our members told us really helped them to get through it and to survive it because they knew that they weren't in it alone. But when you think about, you asked a little bit about like, what are our challenges? We just did a member survey just a few months ago. And at the top always is access to capital. It's always at the top, access to capital. But from the standpoint of, what we hear is that what we know is our members don't necessarily understand, and I think Alexis, you related to this, they don't understand necessarily the barriers, or they don't understand or the gateways, right? So they don't understand how to get it. They're trying to understand what's the right funding for them. So all of those things that my co-panelists have mentioned, that's top of the list for NAWBO. That's come across loud and clear. I think some of the other challenges that popped up in the survey, though, really quickly, was learning how to expand and scaling up. Some of our members did a really good job pivoting. So now the pivot became something that can actually be added to their business portfolio. So now how do you scale up? How do you bring that new product or service in now that you're back on your feet, and how do you keep moving forward? So scaling up, securing the right resources for your business, attorneys, CPAs, that type of thing. We learned a lot. There was a lot of chatter about succession planning, wealth management, and self-care, which Dr. Geneva also landed on.
All right, and let's move on, because Alondra, I'm gonna bring you and engage you as part of the conversation. And obviously the city of Detroit, resources. So what resources are available supporting small businesses? I mean, we've heard about the Motor City Match program, for example, but talk about other funding sources out there for businesses in the area, and what impact have those funding sources had on helping these small businesses as well?
Absolutely. That's such an important question. So I want to take a moment to just acknowledge that part of the funding and access to capital is people need to know like what documents they have to bring to the table. They need to be able to navigate who the right person is depending on their loan size. And so we actually at DMB in partnership with our coalition members have developed, and I put the links in the chat too, we've developed what we call a lender guide that tells you what type of loan products each organization that we work with offers and at what amounts. We've also developed a capital readiness checklist that can help you secure and access the documents that you need to have readily available for an underwriter or through a loan process. And we feature different opportunities on how to get your books together if you don't have it in partnership with like Accounting Aid Society, because it's not to have judgment on our small business owners. We do that a lot of times. They wear many hats, their own accountant, their own HR, their own everything, right? So we need to make sure that we're supporting business owners in that way as well through technical assistance. So we do have those specific resources available and downloadable on our webpage, and so you can find those in the chat. The other, in terms of programs, under Detroit Means Business and in partnership with the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation, we have what you mentioned as Motor City Match, which is a 4-track quarterly program, and you can find more information in the link about when applications open, when they close, and they do have information sessions to get you prepared to apply to that program. That program focuses on supporting brick and mortar spaces and or businesses who are looking to get business planning assistance and support. We also have By Detroit, which is a contracts and procurement program. And that program specifically focuses on connecting buyers and suppliers through a free portal where people can know what each, the goal is to really invest in Detroit businesses and knowing what they offer. So that program is also available with us. And, we just had a Detroit Meets Business Summit where we had over 30 something providers join us for one-on-one appointments to support small businesses. And we were able to service over 250 businesses with a very robust wait list due to venue capacity. And so that information is also in the chat. So we have dual-sided, right? We have the technical assistance and resources that can be downloadable in print. We also have a call center. If you have a specific question and you need to get answers, you can contact us in that way. And then we also have the programmatic side of it. So we are an organization that works in partnership. We also have the district business liaisons, and those are specific to each district, each city council district in the city of Detroit. And that's somebody that you can, as a business owner, contact with any challenge that you have in your district, and they'll help connect you to the right person. And all of these programs are free of charge. So it's important to always highlight that information. Thank you.
You're welcome. We always want free, right? Free is always a good thing. Alexis, I want to come over to you. And I know that Michigan Women Forward certainly has, funding opportunities. And let's talk about that. First of all, I want to ask you a very basic question as we get into Michigan Women Forward's funding opportunities, NAWBO resources. What's the difference between a grant and a loan? A grant and a loan, and then segue as part of your response, talk about some of the resources that are available through Michigan Women Forward as well.
Sure. So the difference between a grant and a loan, the basic difference is a grant does not require repayment and a loan does. So a grant typically is something that you would apply for, and you would receive that funding, and there would be no repayment requirement, nor would there be interest charged. On a loan, you would be set up on a repayment schedule, and there would be interest charged along with that. There may be some additional requirements, such as a guarantee or collateral, but you would be required to pay that funder back. So those are the two basic differences between the two. Michigan Women Forward, in terms of funding resources, we're talking about capital, has a loan product that we offer. And what we're trying to do with our loan product is really think differently about risk. So from the perspective of how we assess entrepreneurs, we do kind of think about some of those basic things that a traditional financial institution does, but we work with those entrepreneurs that may have had some challenges with credit, may not have collateral, may be starting out, may not have all the pieces to the puzzle together, but we'll continue to work with you through the process to ensure that perhaps your projections may need a little assistance. So we'll connect you with our technical assistance business consultant, or perhaps you need some additional work with your business plan. It'll either be our loan officer or one of our partners that will work with you on your business plan. And from there, we offer a $50,000 micro loan, up to $50,000. So you're not required to apply for the maximum, but $2,500 is our minimum, $50,000 is our maximum. All of our clients receive the same interest rate, which is 8%. Our loans are typically secured by just an all asset filing on the business, and we require a personal guarantee that's unsecured. And our typical term is 60 months or 5 years, but we really try to be flexible with the resources that we're providing. And we partner with other CDFIs or community development financial institutions such as Prosper Us, Invest Detroit, Grow in Grand Rapids, but we really do try to think critically about making sure that entrepreneurs have all the capital they need.
Outstanding. I'm going to pause for a second. Tamika, are there any questions in the chat or any questions for the panelists?
No questions for the panelists. We're just correcting some of the resources and links that we put in the chat for the audience to download. So we're just correcting those, but no additional questions at this time.
Great, thank you. And as we begin the segue and wrap up, I do want to ask you briefly talk about your final thoughts, including tips. So let's start with you, Nicole. Just any final thoughts and just one or two tips that you want to give to those viewing you today as well. And also give us your website for NAWBO.
Okay, so I'll start with the website, which is NAWBOGDC.org, NAWBOGDC.org. And I will say that, NAWBO is not a funder. We are a member organization, but what we do extremely well is partner with organizations around the country. So where my co-panelists today have access to everything that's going on in Michigan and the local area, if you go to the NAWBO GDC website or even our national website of NAWBO.org, there are grants and opportunities on a national level that we can apply for here from our region. So those type of grants and loan opportunities, those are on our website. So please go. We are an aggregator of resources from around the country. So I would encourage you to take advantage of that. And then secondly, I'll tell you what, and lastly, what someone told me when I became an entrepreneur after a long corporate career like you, Mark, is don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Jump. There's plenty of resources out here. Just jump and be open to the possibilities and ask a lot of questions. Use your resources, but don't overthink it.
That's outstanding. Alondra, same question, just a couple of tips from your perspective and a website where people get more information.
Yeah, so Detroit Means Business is a robust website. It offers regulatory process information. It offers financial resources that are updated regularly. We have an opt-in newsletter where you can get these opportunities weekly to your inbox. So I would say check out our website and check it out regularly, because those we have a filterable financial resources page. So that means that you input a few information, key elements about yourself, your business, how you identify, and it'll spit out opportunities that are already that are looking for applicants like yourself to apply. And so that's a great resource. And we've heard a lot of positive feedback in that way. If you need support with connecting to a partner, feel free to call our help center, and I'll put my contact info in the chat, and anyone can connect with me in that way. But the Detroit Means Business website and the DEGC website would be the main places to look for support.
Outstanding. Alexis, Dishman, last but not least, any final tips and also a website where people can get more information?
Sure. So thank you, Mark. Our website is www.miwf.org. And that will provide you with resources about Michigan Women Forward. You can also opt into our newsletter that comes out twice a month, every Wednesday, WEI Wednesdays. And we share information and resources from across the state regarding anything that an entrepreneur may be able to use as they create a sustainable business. The advice that I would give entrepreneurs is, one, relationships are everything. So to really think about all the people you know and use those relationships to your benefit. Have a good banking partner, whether or not they're able to provide you with access to capital at this stage in your business, they still will be able to provide you at some point with resources that you need. And you want to establish those relationships very early on, and be transparent as you're seeking capital. If you've had some challenges in your business and you may be a little hesitant to share, that helps those that are reviewing and understanding your business understand where you've been and where you're going. But it's a lot easier for them to move forward and get comfortable if you share that information with them. So try to be transparent. It's not always easy, but transparency is really important in that. And then ask questions. Ask as many questions as you want and as you need to, because we are all here to support you.
Outstanding. Alondra, Alexis, and Nicole, I want to thank you very much for being part of this panel discussion. Appreciate it. Good insights, good information. As we wrap up, I also want to encourage all of you, by the way, you will be getting a survey as soon as this is over this afternoon. Please complete the survey. We'll be coming from the lead group, Survey Monkey. Please complete it, and we look at all the results. Secondly, I would like to, again, thank Comcast for allowing us to use their studio this morning. Comcast Business, we appreciate your support. Comcast, I appreciate you as well for all that you've done in supporting this workshop. And lastly, next week is the final session for the 8th annual Small Business Workshop. It's going to be held June 1st. And the theme is Show Me the Money. Show me the money. And we will discuss, again, continuous conversation on access to capital, funding, building a foundation to sustain you in uncertain times, along with a presentation sponsored by Build Institute in partnership, empowered by GoDaddy, with Michelle Mitchell of Michelle of Michelle Mitchell of Mitchell Consulting. And right now in the chat, you see a link. The link is also on the screen. It's live. Feel free to go ahead and register for next week. And as a result, by the way, as a reminder, next week's closing session will be 1 hour and 30 minutes or 90 minutes. So we'll start at 10 o'clock. Please feel free to register right now while it's fresh in your mind. And we appreciate all of you for joining us this morning. Lastly, I'd like to say in closing, go out and make it a great day. Thank you very much for your support. The feedback's been overwhelming. We appreciate all of you. And again, this recording will be available on Detroit Public Television's YouTube channel. Go out and make it a great day, make it a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank